Right, here we are. Welcome, Survivor Now podcast. We are back again with another interview from the Survivor UK fam, and we are here with the winner, the sole survivor. It is Mr. Matthew Haywood. How are we doing, Matthew?
Hiya, Ollie. How's it going? Great to be here.
Thank you.
I'm excited to deep dive into Survivor.
We will. Well, first of all, before I ask anything or say anything, congratulations.
Thank you.
Has it sunk in yet that you're the winner?
I don't think it'll ever sink in. I'm just so overwhelmed. It's just, I feel like we've been sitting on it now for so many months, and for it to finally be, it's amazing. I'm so proud and so happy.
Nice. So how has it been, like, kind of reliving this adventure and kind of just reliving the game, watching it back from your perspective?
Yeah, watching it back's pretty crazy because you get to see the conversations about you and the other side to everything. So, because when you're in there, it's completely, people are saying, did you see this happen? Did you see that happen? How didn't you know that was happening? It's because you only see it from one vision. You don't see the other conversation. So it's interesting watching it back, definitely.
Nice. So before we get into kind of the nitty-gritty questions and deep diving everything, my first question is, how much kind of knowledge did you have of Survivor before even applying for the show? Did you know about the show?
So I didn't have too much knowledge about the show, but my mum and dad, when I come to them saying I'm applying for this show called Survivor, they'd watched the old UK version, and yeah, so that's kind of as far as my knowledge went. I didn't know there was this massive community, which I'm now part of, which is good. I'm now a super fan of Survivor. But yeah, so it was definitely interesting, but I think it maybe played to my advantage not knowing as much as other people, because I didn't come with like the preconceptions of this might happen, going to the outpost, this might happen. I kind of went in on a level playing field in my head, so it definitely worked out.
Nice. Yeah, it did. I mean, it worked out in your favor because you managed to win. So starting off the game, we definitely saw you kind of we saw you get into an amazing spot kind of at the start, because socially you were in with everyone. You had those connections. Was that your plan going into the game, that you were gonna kind of start off with your social game being your key kind of area?
Yeah, absolutely. The social game is something I knew that I'd be able to do it, and I knew that would be my strength. I knew that I'd be okay at the challenges. I knew that I wouldn't be a beast, but I also knew that I'd be able to do enough to hold my own in there. But my social strategy was to go in and be kind of everyone's comfort blanket, that when you're on a beach, no one wants to get rid of the comfort blanket. And I wanted to be an asset. I think, for instance, some people want it to be an asset physically. I want it to be an asset socially, somebody that everyone can come to, everyone can, like, I'd talk about people's lives with them, and I'm really interested in people and talking to people. So I was genuinely interested, but I was doing where some people maybe couldn't make the relationships with everyone. I would take any barrier between me and another person, I'd break that for the sake of the game, and try and build as much connections with as many people as possible.
Yeah. Nice. Well, kind of those bonds and those connections we really did see. Two of them especially were with Tanuk and Nathan. You guys really did form a strong bond. So how did that come about? How did you three really connect quite quickly?
Yeah, me, Tanuk and Nathan, we got on really fast. For instance, Nathan, my favourite chicken shop in Manchester is also Nathan's favourite chicken shop. It's just a little chicken shop. Nobody's ever heard of it before. And so on the first day, we related to that. Me and Tanuk were like we're like brother and sister in there. It's just silly games, silly things, and just we didn't take each other too seriously, which was nice. So that definitely brought us together. And we were a strong three. We controlled a lot of the votes, and I didn't feel vulnerable once in OG Calaton.
Nice. Side note, I need to find out what that chicken shop was in Manchester, but that'll be afterwards. A big moment for you in the game, kind of one of your first big moments, was the tribe swap. Because obviously it was you, Tanuk, and Shy, and you had to decide who was going to go to Lena. Ultimately, what made you decide to go over and kind of swap voluntarily?
Yeah, so it was literally about 2 minutes before the tree mail come in that we were having a conversation with me, Tanuk, Nathan and Jess, and we were saying, we're going to be solid now. Rachel's gone. We're going to be the solid 4. We just need to kind of make it to the merge. And when the 3 email come in, we were like, right, we need to send as many of our alliance as possible. But then Nathan come in and it's showing you that he was like, well, we need to send either Shy or Lawrence to make it less obvious. So we went. And again, because I didn't have loads of knowledge of the show, some people were expecting a tribe swap. And I wasn't. I thought, oh, it could be another like idol to fish type situation. So I went quite open-minded. And then when we got there and I seen just Joel sitting by himself on the beach, I was like, yeah, this isn't a free reward. But no, I was definitely happy to go. At first, I was a bit nervous because of we were in a solid like voting block in OG Calaton. I went from the top there to the bottom of Lena, but I knew having allies on both sides would help me later on in the game.
That's fair. Well done. Well, I mean, you managed to kind of get through Lena quite seamlessly because you were able to kind of form good kind of connections. We saw Lee took a really nice liking to you. He was really kind of praising you. Again, was that always your plan with pre-merge, just getting in good with everyone? And in terms of Lena, when you went to the tribe swap, who did you feel closest with at that point? Kind of, we know you felt good with Tanuk and Leilani, given, but what about the Lenenas? Who did you feel good with?
Yeah, so when we first got there, me and Tanuk right away were like, we're not going to be seen together. We're not going to go off for chat. We said, we'll do stuff in secret when the time's right. We'll have quick catch-ups. We know we're good. Let's go make our own friends, which was perfect. So Lee took a liking to me, and I got on with Lee, Christopher, and Ashley right away. And Hannah and Ren, they were definitely, I spoke to them, but we didn't talk as in depth as I did with Lee, Christopher, and Ashley. So they were a solid group, and they kind of took me in. They were like, Matthew, you're with us, and we do like you. And I think I backed myself socially that I believe they actually did. I believe what they were saying. I backed myself with them. And then obviously we were doing well. Shoulder the load, the challenge, dead weight. Yeah, I know you're the challenges. You can get it right. But yeah, that challenge, me definitely seeing that I wanted to put myself forward. I didn't think that I could beat Nathan and Doug, but I thought at least if I push myself really hard, I had a lot of weight on us, that I'd get a lot of respect. I was building them little relationships. And one thing that I have to mention is when I first went to Lena, I was doing the little things. I thought, right, if I can do the little things that won't even be seen really well, then they'll want me around. So, for instance, on the first night, I was hanging off the bed. I had one foot on the floor, arm on the tree, and I was hanging like that. And I thought, I'm not going to complain because the bed was so packed. I thought, if I just cope a couple nights like this, eventually we'll go to tribal council, we'll lose somebody, and I'll get a good space in the bed. And like with the food as well, I'd only take a little portion of food. I won't take seconds. I don't want to look greedy. I thought, just little psychology tricks that'll... Because if you're there, if you're complaining, if you're trying to act like you're better than them, they had the majority. They could have took me out. So I knew that was essential to staying in.
The little social things. Very
little social things that I've never seen are always the little, like, especially little relationships. I was focusing on building really solid little relationships with everyone. So like even Pegleg and Hannah and Lawrence and me were really close. And I'd make everyone feel like they were definitely at the top of my list. And everyone would think that. So all the plans were coming through me. Both sides of the plans, people would tell me. And I could walk up to anyone in camp and the conversation would never stop. Like you see some people walk up and then everyone's like, but then I'd walk over and it would continue. So socially, I knew from that I was doing something right.
Yeah, and that's actually quite true. So that is a credit to your game. Well, let's kind of now move on to the merge because, of course, again, you were in such a good spot socially. You had kind of a lot of connections. When it came to the start of merge, what was your actual plan? Because as we saw, your plan and how you maneuvered merge changed. Yeah. So what was the original plan?
So the original plan, the merge come, and you can see by my face when we're at the auction, I was so happy to see Nathan and everyone. And the plan was to kind of group up with OG Calaton and kind of discuss, because we had no idea that we thought Nathan had picked Jess off. We had no idea. So kind of debrief, see what happens. I had a really good relationship with Lawrence as well. Even though he kind of went against Nathan, I was still really cool with Lawrence. So we kind of got together and we were like, we're happy you are still here. They were happy we survived and we're like, we can go together now as a group. But I always knew that I'd built enough other strong relationships that if that wasn't to work. I always needed more than one route because I thought eventually if there's a dead end or a bit of traffic in it, you know what I mean? You have to abort.
Yeah.
Swear.
Nice. So I feel like we have to get to this. It's arguably the biggest move of the game. And it was the start of ultimately kind of the start of your open strategic game that was getting rid of the Queen Tanuk, as everyone on the Survivor fandom likes to call her. Just walk me through that. Walk me through kind of your side of things and how that came about and why it was such a good move for you.
So from the start of the game, I knew that Tanuk, although she was my best friend in there, I knew she was the biggest threat. I knew that Tanuk was very switched on. And that was in Calaton that I knew that in my head. But I knew that Tanuk was going to go far. So me and Tanuk stuck together and a genuine connection. But then in Kalena, the merge tribe, I felt like there was a stage where I was getting told more who I was going to be voting for. And it was more like, not we're going to be voting. It's like, Nathan's going to vote this person, you're going to vote that person. This is who's going to go out. And then I'll probably win at the end. Yeah. I wasn't happy with just getting to the end. And I understand that I could have. And I know that I was so aware that me, Nathan, Tanuk were in the top 3 of OG Calaton. And I knew I could have got to the end that way. But I didn't just want to get to the end and settle as 3rd place, 2nd place, and not go. And I knew it was like risk and reward. I took a big risk. It could have seen me out the game, but at least I can go home knowing that I've tried to change a game. So I knew I had to do it. But there's a big talk of Christopher, did he manipulate me? Did he get into my head? I had to keep my cards close to my chest. So when Christopher at the Peter Awards saying, oh, there's a hierarchy, and it shows you me, I'm saying, so are me and Lawrence in this hierarchy? I couldn't have turned around and been like, Lawrence, you're not in this hierarchy, but I am. I couldn't turn around and say that. So I was letting Chris drip feed, because Lawrence is so intelligent and and you watch, he always liked to get information out of people, he never give it. So I was very wary of what Chris would take from that, because he was very close with Tanuk. So definitely me playing it down and letting Chris give it to me. At least if all failed, I could have been like, well, look, Chris he put it in my head. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I get what you mean. Yeah, I get what you mean completely. And it's that thing of you had an easy way to the end, but was it a winning end? And that's where it was for you. Obviously, I think it's safe to say then, if you did go to the end with Nathan and Tanuk, do you think you would have been 3rd then?
I'm not sure. I think maybe 2nd. Because I think socially, I had a lot of friends on every side. Like I was kind of friendly with everyone, but whether it was 2nd or maybe it was 3rd, I wanted a chance to win. Like I really went there to try my best. And you go in wanting to win. At first, you never think it'll ever be you. But then as the game went on, there was moments where I was like, right, I'm in the top 6 now, the top 5. Like I can really do this. Yeah.
So another moment that we kind of have to talk about, and you know exactly what's coming. It's the infamous, it's Clasp Gate. It's Clasp Gate. Where you forgot to properly lock the lobster trap, which great bit of TV, obviously. I mean, the editing on that was absolute top notch. But for you, obviously, it meant that Nathan got that idol that you and Chris had found. I mean, the first thing, what happened? Give me all of it on there, like your reactions and everything.
It was like something out of like a comedy movie. Like watching it back, I was watching it back with Matt. It was embarrassing to watch back, but no. So when Chris found the key, it would have been, everyone was always watching Chris if he was out in the trees looking for idols. So I was like, right, no one will suspect me if I go over. You distract them, because I know Chris is good at. Chris can put on a good performance, so he's a performer. So he could go distract them while I get the key. So I went over, done it, and I just literally got the clasp, got the clasp of the lock, and just clipped it down. And yeah, I thought it was locked, and then I left. Everything was fine, and then I was saying as well. I was saying my plan was to go back in the night, and looking back, I should have done it at the time. But going back in the night, I'd have all the time in the world, can really get a good plan together. And I was going to put rocks in the bag or sand in the bag, something, so then so people think it's still there. And then I was even going to make more mischief by hiding the key in the camp. And then somebody finds the key, finds the rocks, and it's just a whole. So I did. Me and Chris, we were definitely a bit like Dumb and Dumber, but we had a good plan. But looking back, I could not believe the worst person at the time found it. What are the chances? What are the chances?
I mean, with Survivor, the chances are grand, to be fair. When it comes to Survivor, it's always going to be that. But to be fair, you were still able to kind of bounce back from it, even though this was the first time we heard your name come up, even though you didn't get any votes, because Nathan was like, well, I've got the idol now. So do you think at that point, though, seeing that you didn't get votes, did you kind of start to see like, oh, okay, my social game's kind of working in my favor here now, especially at the business end, as you kept referring to it as the business end of the game, where this was where you were like, this is where you don't want to go get the name. You don't want to be the name. You don't want to be the target. Is this where you kind of saw your social game being like, okay, I'm not really getting spoken about still?
Yeah. So it was just right off the back of probably the biggest blindside of the series with Tanuk here. I was already I was worried that Nathan and people were going to start coming for me then. Then the whole idol situation and my name come out. And I genuinely thought then, right, there's a big chance I go home tonight. So I was throwing names in there, even if the people, Lawrence, Leilani, throwing names in there. So it was in my head, as long as I didn't go home that night, Christopher was immune, which thank God, or I'd have probably lost Christopher that night. Christopher's immune. As long as I don't go home, I'm okay. And my main aim was to get Nathan. I needed Nathan to flush the idol because he was coming for me, but I also needed that anyone else but me goes home. So I was in two minds of what I wanted. But yeah, so I made it out to Nathan as if I was saying, well, why don't to Pegleg and everyone else said, why don't we act as if we're still going to put votes on Nathan anyway? We don't actually know he's got an idol. Like, even though it sounds stupid, and I'll vote anyone else out. So I sadly lost Lawrence that night. Lawrence would have been in my plans to keep going to the end. And I did say, well, I said a lot of things to a lot of people, but I said to Lawrence that I'd take him to the end and come to stay to the end. But I sadly lost him through to, well, I probably owe him a pint, to be honest, because it was because I lost that key that he went home that night. Yeah, but it all kind of worked out. And like you said, after my name come out a little bit, but I didn't get a vote, didn't go home, that's when I was like, right, I've clearly got good social connections. I have multiple routes. Hannah and Pegleg was one route. Me and Christopher, Leilani and me were really close in there as well. I knew she would never vote for me. So I had multiple routes to the end. So it was about picking the right route. And I had a lot of time to think. And I think, well, obviously I chose the right route at the end.
You did. You had to have, because you made it to the end. Getting to Final Tribal Council, first of all, just quickly, what was that feeling knowing that you were going to plead your case to the jury? Like, what was that kind of feeling? Because only a select few people can even just know that. So knowing that you had the official chance to win, what was that like?
Yeah, so Hannah had just left. Final three of us, we go back to camp, me, Chris and Leilani. And it's a weird feeling. It's like, even though we're all there till the end now, me, Chris and Lena, we can't get voted out. The game was not over because the game is it's higher than ever now. Now I have to pitch to the jury, so I was ready for that, and I really made sure that I was, and I wasn't going to go in. I knew if I wasn't going to win, I wasn't not going to win because I didn't pitch well enough. That's in my control, and I love speaking, I love presenting, everything like that. So that wasn't going to be my downfall. So I knew that I'd have to go in, own my moves, but also I knew that the jury wouldn't be completely heavy strategy positive. So I knew that you had to go in with also. I mentioned my age and I was being underestimated, and I went in as a boy, come out as a man, and I knew with my gameplay and with that, it would make a nice cocktail of, but it's a nice story. So yeah, I backed that. But the feeling of going back to camp and getting the chance to pitch to the jury, it was amazing. And it was like, yes, I've done every day in camp. I've got the full experience, because you want to make it to the end. Like every day in camp, no one can take it away.
No. And obviously you kind of just spoke there about your game and how you were able to kind of showcase your entire game to the jury. Was there any point at Final Tribal Council where you kind of thought like, oh, I think I've got this. Like, I think I may have like snatched this one.
Yeah. So the night before Final Tribal Council, I was preparing myself. I was ready, but I did think it was a bit. I knew me or Christopher. I thought it would be between us, and we both got a good argument as well to why it should have been us. And when I got to Final Tribal Council, Christopher pitched before me, so I was second. And it was after Christopher pitched, I was like, I can beat that. I don't think Christopher pitched as well as he could have.
Yeah.
And I knew that I could pitch better, and I knew that what I'd prepared is going to be better. So I'd done that. I answered my questions how I did, and then it's when Joe was reading out the votes, and the response I got from the jury, you get like when they start nodding at you and stuff, you're like, right, that's good. They're nodding at me. And then when Joe was reading out the votes, I was really that's when I genuinely thought, oh my God, I could win. And that's when you instantly start thinking about, I could win this game.
Yeah.
And like money, it's life changing. And that's when it hit me. And then when my name come out first, I was like, oh. And then the name come out again, I was like, and then when you've got 3 votes, you're like, should I dare to believe it could be me? And then it come out, and I was an emotional wreck. I non-stop cried days. Like even now, I'm just so overwhelmed.
I mean, you're allowed, because at the end of the day, you managed to pitch your case the best and win. Because to me, I feel like you played such a well-rounded, you mentioned this yourself, you played a well-rounded, adaptable game. So for that, like, well done in itself. The final question I have for you is, now it's all over, what are you going to take away from this experience? Like, what have you learned? And the most important question, if asked, when we have more seasons, would you return?
Right. So what I've learned from this experience is never, and this is to anyone as well, never let yourself be underestimated. And that's because of your age, of because where you come from, or who you are, or whatever your thing is. Don't let anyone like, we're 18 people that we all had the same chance on day one, and through to one reason or another, some people started to go. And then, so yeah, back yourself in everything, believe in yourself, because if it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody. It honestly can. I am a normal guy from a normal family, from a normal town. So it's so overwhelming. And yeah, believe in yourself. Anyone can do it. If I can get there and play, and I can go do it, anyone out there watching, if you want to play, you can get there. Honestly, you can. So yeah, and I found out I'm resilient. I'm strong. I'm strong-minded, and yeah, I'm so happy with how it all worked out. And I'd love to play again. Absolutely. I was on the radio the other day, and they were saying about, like, if they've done a global winners series, get me in. The UK winner. I go. I do it again. And I'm ready this time as well. Yeah, I've seen it, I've done it, and I'm ready to go again. Whenever the call comes, I'm there.
Nice. Well, once again, I'm going to constantly say it. Congratulations on being the sole survivor. As I will always say, you deserved it. Thank you so much for chatting with me today. It's been a blast. I've enjoyed every moment of it. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and enjoy the win.
Well, thank you. I will. And as well, I hope you get the chance to play, mate. There'll hopefully be many more seasons of the UK, and you'll be playing. I'll be watching you, and it'll be good.